Howdy folks, it's Will here from Flow Mountain Bike, and boy do we have some huge news for you today. Right here we've got the brand new 2023 RockShox Pike and the new Lyrik as well. And not only that, we've also got a new Zeb, a Super Deluxe air shock and a Super Deluxe coil shock. Indeed, there is a whole load of new RockShox product coming at you for 2023, and as we predicted last year when Flight Attendant first launched, a load of that technology will be trickling down into the non-electronic forks and shocks, including the Buttercups and the new DebonAir Plus air spring. That's only half the story though, because today RockShox is releasing the next generation Charger 3 damper, plus a new RC2 damper and hydraulic bottom out control for the rear shocks. In this video, we'll be taking you through all of the new tech, plus our first impressions of riding the new forks and shocks out on the trail. Firstly, let's talk about the Charger 3 damper because it is a big change over the old forks. No longer does the damper use an expandable bladder. Instead, it's got a coil-backed IFP that RockShox says is more sensitive and more consistent throughout the travel. You still get adjustable high-speed and low-speed compression damping, though RockShox claims the two adjustments are now totally independent of each other. There's also a fresh approach when it comes to setup. Both dials have a neutral setting in the middle, and RockShox recommends starting in this neutral position before clicking the adjusters either way. With the outer high-speed dial, you have 2 clicks either side of neutral, so 5 clicks in total. With the low-speed adjuster, you have 7 clicks on either side, so 15 clicks in total. Keeping things simple, there's just the single rebound dial at the bottom of the fork, and that gives you 20 clicks of rebound adjustment. Internally, there's a new rebound piston and a tapered oil path, which is claimed to reduce fluid turbidity, and that basically means that there are no squishy noises under rebound when you're riding on the trail. Inside the other leg is the new DebonAir Plus air spring. This features a new top-out bumper, a new transfer port location, and tweaked positive and negative air spring volumes. Of course, the new DebonAir Plus air spring comes with the usual claims of improved off-the-top sensitivity and better mid-stroke support. Also trickling down from the Flight Attendant forks, the new Buttercups will be featured in the non-electronic Pike, Lyrik and Zeb. The Buttercups are small rubber pucks which sit inside an alloy housing at the bottom of both the air shaft and the damper shaft, where they mount to the bottom of the lowers. These rubber pucks provide 4mm of vertical compliance, which is designed to soak up the low amplitude and high frequency vibrations which might not otherwise be absorbed by the air spring or damper. Adding Buttercups to these forks is claimed to reduce trail chatter by 20%, with the goal of reducing feedback through the rider's contact points. Now, the Buttercups will only come on the ultimate level forks, though they are available in aftermarket upgrade kits for lower tier models. Now, as mentioned before, the RockShox Pike is all new for 2023. It gets a brand new chassis and all new internals as well. Compared to the old Pike, which used to cover a travel bracket from 120 up to 160mm, the new Pike has a much narrower window, sitting between 120 and 140mm of travel. This has allowed the engineers to refine the spring curve for that narrower travel bracket, and it also meant they could optimize the chassis to reduce weight, but also increase lower leg stiffness by a claimed 13.5%. Now, all 4 Pike models get that new chassis and the DebonAir Plus air spring, but only the Ultimate and Select Plus models get the Charger 3 damper. Speaking of, the old RCT3 damper does not carry over, and that means you won't find a lockout on a high-end Pike anymore. As for confirmed weight, our 140mm travel Pike Ultimate came in at 1.88 kilos, including the Maxwell and with a cut steerer. Now that's about the same weight as the previous Pike, so although the chassis is a bit lighter, that new Charger 3 damper is heavier. The Lyrik is also totally new for 2023, though it is more focused as a pure all-mountain/enduro fork. Whereas the old Lyrik used to cover up to 180mm of travel, The new Lyrik sits between 140 and 160 mm of travel. It still uses 35 mm diameter upper tubes, though the chassis is all new and it does bear a close resemblance to the bigger Zeb with its nicely machined crown. And according to RockShox, the reworked lower legs have improved torsional rigidity by 20%. It is actually a touch lighter than its predecessor though, with our 160 mm travel test fork coming in at 2.02 kilos. As with the Pike, the new Lyrik also features the new DebonAir Plus air spring and the Charger 3 damper on the top two models. There are further differences, with the Ultimate model also receiving the Buttercups, pressure relief valves on the back of the fork lowers, and a higher end bushing package inside the fork. However, it is possible to upgrade the cheaper Lyriks with some of those bells and whistles. With the RockShox Zeb having only been released in 2020, the new version does carry over the machined crown and the 38 mm diameter upper tubes, and it's still available with between 160 and 190 mm of travel, making it the big hitter of the range and the most suitable option for chunky e-mountain bikes. It is otherwise all new from the inside out though. The lowers receive the new pressure relief valves, and they also get the redesigned dropouts with bolt-in adapters for fitting non-torque cap front hubs. Of course, the Zeb also gets the new DebonAir Plus air spring, the option of a Charger 3 damper, and Buttercups on the high-end Ultimate model. For those wondering, confirmed weight on our 160 mm travel Zeb Ultimate is 2.32 kilos, which is almost identical to the Fox 38 that came off the bike. Now, to go with all the new forks, there's also a brand new Super Deluxe Air and Super Deluxe Coil shock. These feature a completely redesigned damper called RC2, which introduces externally adjustable high-speed compression damping. With a 3mm hex key, you've got 5 clicks of high-speed compression adjustment, and there's also a tool-free dial for the low-speed compression adjustment, also with 5 clicks. And RockShox claims that these adjustments are totally independent of each other, and they're designed to match the performance of the Charger 3 damper up front. There's a similar approach to tuning too, so you start with those adjusters in the middle neutral position before clicking either side to firm up or soften the compression damping. There's also a brand new air can design on the Super Deluxe shock, and that's available in both linear and progressive options. You can also tune the volume of both the positive and the negative air chambers with plastic clip-in spacers. On top of that, RockShox is also adding in an optional hydraulic bottom out feature. This adds position-sensitive damping, which kicks in during the last portion of the travel. It restricts oil flow to provide a stronger ramp up and reduce the chance of bottoming out. On the Super Deluxe Coil shocks that feature hydraulic bottom out, it's externally adjustable via a 3mm hex key. On the air shocks that come with a hydraulic bottom out, it's fixed with no option to adjust it externally. As if that wasn't enough, RockShox is also introducing a new Deluxe Air and a Deluxe Coil shock. The Deluxe Air shock does carry over the same damper and adjustments as the current version, but upgrades to the latest air can design as seen on the Super Deluxe. The Deluxe Coil is a brand new entry-level coil shock with just a single rebound adjuster to keep things simple, but also to keep the price down. Now, in order to get to grips with all of the new technology, we've been testing a variety of the new RockShox forks and shocks across 4 different bikes. Mick's got a 160mm travel Zeb and a Super Deluxe coil shock on his Levo, and a 130mm travel Pike on his Tallboy. We've also got a 160mm Lyrik on Trev's Norco Sight, and a 140mm travel Pike and a Super Deluxe air shock on my Stump Jumper. In terms of setup, it's a bit of a bummer to see RockShox no longer putting sag gradients on the upper tubes. We miss being able to eyeball the sag ring without having to break out the ruler just to get the fork set up. As for the air spring itself, the overall level of support and progression has changed considerably. Both of our Pikes and the Lyrik have come with no bottomless tokens installed from the factory. Though to be honest, we haven't felt any need to add any because there's sufficient ramp up with the stock configuration. That said, you can still add bottomless tokens as you need. It's also been an interesting process to get the Charger 3 damper set up because it plays a much stronger supporting role in the overall action of the new forks. The dials are a pleasure to use with nice machining details and positive detents at each position, making them easy to use even while you're wearing gloves. The markings make it clear where you're at within the range, so you no longer need to count clicks, and it's even easy to eyeball and adjust while you're riding. Now on the trail, the first thing that we all noticed about these new forks is just how quiet they are, thanks to that new rebound piston and tapered oil path. We've also noticed much stronger support from that Charger 3 damper, and with the adjusters set in the neutral position, the forks ride nice and high in their travel. Initially, we were finding the forks to be a little stickier than we were expecting and somewhat over-damped, which was particularly the case with the shorter travel Pike. Now, part of this may simply boil down to these being brand new forks, so we'll see if they bed in any further over the next few rides. In speaking with RockShox though, it has been recommended to try lower air pressures in order to provide a more supple feel off the top. Given how strong the new damping is and the fact that we've not been bottoming out heavily, we'll be experimenting with air pressures to see if we can get the performance we're after. And while we're yet to be blown away with small bump sensitivity at slower riding speeds, the support from the damper does mean that high-speed control is excellent. This plays well with the air spring's mid-stroke stability, ensuring that the fork remains in that active sweet spot without ploughing through the travel. Certainly when you're pushing hard into berms and jackhammering over rock gardens, the new forks are quiet, calm, and very composed. Our first impressions have also been positive with the new Super Deluxe air and coil shocks. Though with so much adjustment on offer, we're looking forward to spending a bit more time tuning to see what performance they can bring to the party. We'll also be doing some back-to-back testing with the latest Fox forks and shocks, so stay tuned to flowmountainbike.com for some upcoming head-to-head reviews. Now, if you want to know all the details about the 2023 RockShox lineup, including prices, confirmed weights, and specifications, the full article is now live on our website. Make sure you click that link in the video description below if you'd like to check it out. We're curious to hear what you think of the new RockShox forks and shocks, so be sure to tell us your thoughts and ask us any questions you've got in the comments section below. Otherwise, that's it from me, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you next time. Tooroo!